What is the most overrated product you've purchased? Probably half the curly hair products I buy. Literally 95% fragrance and 5% good stuff. I should really do my research beforehand. I'm a hairdresser. Let me know if I can help. Edit, this makes me so happy. I've gotten dozens of messages and comments asking for help, which I've tried to get to all of you as of right now. I'm happy to do so, but I need sleep. I'll try to write out a general update for tomorrow because a lot of y'all are having similar issues. Same, and I do my research beforehand. Nearly everything I bought on Kickstarter/Indiegogo. If I got the product at all, they're almost always low quality and don't do what they said they would. Some products would ship but the company goes under within a year or two, so no more support or replacement parts. I will never, ever back indie games on Kickstarter again after being burned so many times. Sucks. I bought one of those oversized gag lighters thinking the flame was going to be proportionally big. It wasn't. I'm 6'5". There's a similar disappointing situation I have with girls. You need a crack lighter with the adjustable flame. A Fushigi ball skeptical. The marketing for that was genius though. Contact juggling is a skill, but the ball has almost nothing to do with it. The ball just looks uniform on all parts, so you can't tell when it's rotating or rolling. It's like showing someone a performance of an expert card cheat and telling them that by buying the deck of cards, you too can do what he does. Technically not wrong, they just didn't tell you how much practice goes into it. I had to Google this since I had never heard of it. This looks like the type of shit I used to see in the mall being demonstrated, like a little plane you throw and it comes right back to you, except the dude demonstrating has probably spent freaking years practicing. Overly expensive paint brushes from hobby companies designed to specifically paint equally expensive plastic models/miniatures. You're better off buying brushes from an art store or getting some of the top brands like Artis Opus or Winsor & Newton Series 7. Fuck GW brushes. My uncle always cracked me up. He worked as a professional artist at Hallmark for most of his life, and everyone would ask him all the time where he got his art supplies from because his work was so nice. His answer? Legit dollar store. He'd go and buy the cheap dollar store paintbrush kits for kids and then just manually mix together the paint to get the shades he wanted. Was it efficient use of time/skills? I've no idea, but it paid for his house so. A garden hose that was unkinkable. I paid extra for the guaranteed kink-free feature. It kinked up like a motherfucker. That's what you get for kink shaming. My dad has this spongy hose thing that looks like a shriveled penis, but he's fucking obsessed with it. I house sat for them a few months ago and needed to use it to water their plants, and it was pretty sweet. If you'd like, I can reach out to him and ask him about it for you. Sears Best Canister Vacuum Cleaner. It was expensive, but lasted a few days over 1 year and quit, with only light household use. Sears wouldn't stand behind it. The cost of parts and repair was greater than the cost of the vacuum cleaner. No wonder Sears is in trouble. A few years before my grandma passed away, she bought a fridge from Sears. It died before the warranty was up. Their repairman said it would cost more to fix it than replace it. My grandma called Sears to set up a delivery time for the new fridge. The man accused my grandmother of trying to get free fridge. He made a widow in her 80s cry. We tried to help, but Sears blocked every number we called from. Eventually her kids bought her fridge from someplace else. This was years ago, but I still won't buy anything from Sears. That's crazy to me. It's a couple of decades back, but Sears used to be, like, Costco tier where you knew a Sears/Kenmore/Craftsman product was at least average if not a little better. Parts and service were always available. I was friends with a guy who was in charge of the motor pool for an army unit, and he used to grump about having to get tools from the government suppliers. He would always say, why don't they let us just get stuff from Sears, you know they're never going anywhere and you can pop down to the store anytime and get a new wrench. I bought an unbreakable hand axe at Home Depot that used revolutionary new technology and it broke on the third swing. Replaced it with a hickory handle axe which I still use 22 years later. In my experience, anything marketed as unbreakable is guaranteed to fall apart very quickly. I once bought something marketed as an unbreakable can opener. It is the only can opener I have ever known to break. I used to dig a lot in a former job and I always preferred wooden handles to any other material. Nothing else feels right. Fiberglass or composites just vibrate too much. Bought the SK2 essence that always gets raved about in skincare communities. Used it at the same time as tretinoin and thought it was helping in the process of clearing my skin. Stopped using it and turns out, it was just the tret. There was no difference in my skin after I stopped using it. The stuff is $100 a bottle. Tretinoin is so much more effective, and inexpensive, depending on where you are, than most of the gimmicky products people spend hundreds on. Best thing I've ever used on my skin, treatment-wise. I bought the Slap Chop, pure garbage. It literally exploded upon use as directed. No flames or anything, but all the parts came apart and went flying. You mean Vince Offer lied to us? I can hardly believe it. He seemed so trustworthy. Did he lie about ShamWow, too? Sounds like you didn't love his nuts. Sea monkeys. When I was little, I ordered some from the back of a comic book. I thought they would look like the picture, a nuclear family who would interact and talk to me. Unfortunately, they were turned out to be very non-sentient brine shrimp. It was very anticlimactic. Yes, that was my first lesson in marketing. 40 years later, I am still bitter. I thought they'd be wearing clothes. A 2020 planner. My favorite planner ever, and I've had them yearly for a decade, was my 2020 planner. They didn't reprint the design for 2021. It's little, but after the year we had, I definitely cried. Seriously. Anyone remember those sticky cup strapless backless bras? The ads were all over Facebook and Instagram for a while. I eventually gave in and bought one. The whole point of them in the ads was like pull the string in the middle to give yourself instant mega cleavage, and you can wear it under strapless/backless clothes. Unfortunately, pulling your boobs together into ultra mega cleavage just means it makes the volume of your boobs flatter to pull them closer together, and since all it had was skin to stick to, and nothing but stickiness to hold it up, it was not very supportive. It was sticky enough for one proper use, but even still, the edges peeled away from my skin pretty quickly. There is a little cutout in the middle that's not sticky. That's where the nipple is meant to go. My nipples did not naturally or comfortably line up with those holes, so I had this incredibly sticky bra suction cup to my tit, and had to nearly rip my nipple off to get the bra off of me. After that, it is impossible to wash and store anywhere. The sticky surface becomes slick when wet, but goes back to sticky when it gets dry, but never as sticky as the first time. It has to air dry because towel fibers will get stuck on it, and it wouldn't survive a trip through the washer and dryer. It cannot be stored in a drawer, or touching any material because fibers will get stuck on it, and it cannot be stored face up with nothing covering it because dust will get stuck on it, thereby rendering it unsticky until you wash it again, and air dry it again, and store it wrong again, rinse and repeat until you throw it in the garbage. Some guy once went to a wedding in midsummer. Was wearing a great top but needed some covering of the nips. I used one of those stick-on bras. I started to sweat and I could feel the cups letting go. Second I stood up, they fell and landed in the grass in front of me. I wore one clubbing once and let me tell you, worst decision ever. 1 minute I'm dancing on a podium with a couple of friends, then I just feel it unstick all at once and drop out the bottom of my dress. I subtly kick it off the podium hoping nobody noticed, and then 30 seconds later I turn around to a group of 18-year-old guys holding it up to their chests and dancing, absolutely losing it. Thankfully I don't think they knew it was mine. $400 Buffy brand eucalyptus comforter. Supposed to be fluffy and not hot. Totally too hot. How were its vampire slaying abilities? Victoria's Secret panties. And the quality has gone downhill immensely. I still have some of theirs from years ago when the quality was so high. The elastic never broke down, the fabric wasn't flimsy, they didn't ride up or sag. And then they started making lousy underwear that falls apart in the washing machine. If they could just go back to making quality cotton bikinis again, I would come back as a customer. But I don't see it happening. I have a whole set of panties from H&M from 10 years ago with less holes than the year or two old Versus ones. And they aren't even that cute. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.